David, please tell them what's up with the YouTube channel. What are the 4 critical steps that they need to do?
It's like.
Yeah, so before I go, how do you adjust this for one?
Sorry about that.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the illustrious David Chung.
Cut 2. Yeah, it's great to be involved.
Yes.
And learn from the happy pill, because that's what it's about. This stuff makes us so happy.
Yeah.
And now, how we're gonna feel for the rest of the day after training?
How we're gonna feel excellent.
Yeah.
We're gonna feel excellent. Like we just took a couple of happy pills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't beat this.
You cannot beat it. Ladies and gentlemen, be like the legendary David Chung. Like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment.
Working at 2-on-1 grip, off of where he put his hand on my bicep, and it's just a simple drill. It's not really, I know it looks great, but it's one of those drills like, looks fancier than it is, and you almost never pull it off. And if you get to this position, trust me, you're so excited to get this person on top of you that you'll just be happy to reverse them. But the drill is actually quite good, and it does happen. Like, so I'm not gonna say it doesn't. So we had been working where they had put their hands on my biceps. So I grabbed this grip and then I turned it over, and now it's going into an arm drag, right? So pretty simple. This is all the grip we had. So the drill's gonna start like that, but then we're gonna go into the counter from this drill and then also go back to counter again. So within like about a quarter second on each one, the counters will rapidly happen. If he's fundamentally sound and I'm fundamentally sound. Only thing that he did was I caught his hand and I turned it over. So the drill's pretty simple. Obviously this hand's gonna advance. It's my first hand, I'm gonna grab this, right? So the drill's pretty simple. The only thing I wanna do is put him on top of me, and I'm gonna ask you to do a couple of little, small little things. So as I drag him and he pulls forward, I'm gonna reach on top of him and grab his lat. Okay, that's the closest thing that I can manipulate, because I want to turn his shoulders and I want to get my body line behind his deltoid. So I'm not going to reach down here because I don't have anything yet. Okay, so my first reaction is to pull him on top of me. So the reason I'm saying about the drill is Ethan is on top of me right now. So I'm going to ask you to take their back. And this is what I meant before. If you're here, you're just so excited that you're just going to be picking this person up and then dumping them and coming up. That's really, but the drill is actually quite a good drill, because it teaches you, you know, one of the problems I have when people first learn how to shrimp, and if, I know probably Cynthia was here, a bunch of people, I first took over the class, it wasn't this class, it was the gi class, and they used to have people shrimp back and forth. And I went, oh my God, these people do not know how to shrimp. They're just worried about getting to the other side, when really it's about getting your hips out. I know in the class, they'll have you shrimp from one side of the room to the other. This just never happens. Like, the goal is to get your hips out as far away so that you recover your leg lines over. So the reason I'm bringing it up now is the person's on top of me and you're like this. And I should be able to hold this person up with one hand, one leg, drop this leg. I have him up in the air, he's light as a feather, and get my hips out. So if I had a grip here, as I drop this bottom leg, I'm looking to get as much of my chest line on his spinal cord line. So as I drop him, I turn. Because now as I shrimped out with this leg, I have a great back take now. And now my first hook in, and I'm grabbing this hand and coming under the neck. So the drill's great because it teaches you how to shrimp out. And if you're not landing behind him, where his back is on my chest, we got issues in what you're doing. Either you're not picking him up, you're not deep enough, you don't know how to shrimp off this toe line. So it exposes a lot of deficiencies, because I tell you, the game mirrors itself in other spots, but it's hidden. So you just go like, oh, that's a different move. No, it's not. It's the same exact move. So you're not learning how to shrimp. You're not learning how to carry a man's weight on top of you. You're not understanding how to get one elevator. And a lot of times people will pick up both elevators. There's so many small parts within that move that exposes your deficiencies. And if you're off on that, you absolutely are going to be off on the other moves in different angles when they're mirrored the same way. So one more time, you're here. Guy puts his hand on so I grab, I peel, I make a secondary grip, I false grip the back, I reach up, I grab the lat. My first reaction is just to pull him on top of me. I'm not looking to reverse, I'm not gonna elevate him. Why would I do that? He'd be super heavy. Most of his weight is planked here. I need this man on top of me. So I suck myself in, and now Ethan is light as a feather. One leg goes up. So I'm learning how to just use one elevator. One drops. So this guy never picked him up. This guy dropped. As I pull, I slide myself out on the shrimp. So I take myself out on this line so that I'm mirrored right behind him, ready to slide up and throw my other hook in. Let's do it, guys. So he just won this battle like this. And now we're like this, getting sucked in, and I know exactly what he wants to do, okay? So if reverse engineer it, right? He was like this, and he goes and grabs this, and now he peels, and now his next move is this advancement of this arm to here. That's really his next move, because you were doing the same thing, okay? So I want to kill that advancement. He's like this, right? We started like this, me here. He goes and peels, and we're like this. So my first reaction is not to let this hand make an advancement behind here. So just common sense, pretty much. I put my hand here. My second thing is I want to make sure that my head comes to this side. Okay, it's very critical because he wants to inch out this way. So I've stopped the two things that occur. One is this advancement of this hand. So lay back down. We're just going to imagine him up so everybody on that side could see. This advancement of his hand, that's why I go on the crease. Pull the crease down. Just don't lay it in there. Remember what he also wants to do. He potentially wants to take his legs out, either S them out or inch around me. So I'm not gonna plant him. It's almost like when I tell you, like, give him friction, stay tight on him, because I wanna slow his patterns down so that I can counter or get my hand back, right? So when you're here and he has this, pull it down. I don't want his hips just moving freely all over the place. My second reaction is, depending on how tight he is, he might be here, he might be here, I don't know. But I want you to have one goal. Sometimes people will pick this head up over the top and bring it down, meaning that he's like this, he's super tight, and they'll take this head and put it over the top. But remember how we started. He wanted to suck himself underneath. So why would I do that? Because I'm like this, and now when he pulls me in, I'm going over. Like, he's gonna bring me on top of him. So I don't want any of that to occur. So if I just describe all the things he wanted to do, I want to deaden them all. So I stop this, and I just told you about the head coming over. Your head doesn't come over, okay? Your head comes here, and then J shapes underneath, okay? I don't know if I'm going to get here, but I definitely do not want you advancing, and I'm gonna fight for the position, because even if I don't get here and my head gets underneath your chin line, when you go pull me up, now you run into the problem that my head's hitting you here and you're not lifting me like you wanted to, okay? So now we understand like why he's doing what he's doing and how I'm countering him. So when he first got this grip, my first reaction is here. I push down. I don't want him moving freely. I want to give him as much friction and slow his patterns down as much as possible, so pull down. My second reaction is my head wants to get here, but I never go over, okay? I'm going to fight for position and slide it underneath. So when I'm here, I slide underneath. As I'm here, now I can take this hand and break this grip. Whether either I pull it, there'll be different variations of this, okay? Sometimes they'll be so deep with the hands here already. This one's easy to break because I'm here and now I'm just gonna release your fingertips off of my hand. That one's easy to break. So let me ask you to do it a little bit harder, because once the hand gets in the pit, it becomes an issue, right? Because now he's advancing too tight. So when he's here with it, and you're like this, okay? I'm still the same way. I'm here with this grip because sometimes the grip will happen from here, guys. The guy will grip this hand first. That's opposite. And now he hits this. And now he's sucking me into this pit, right? So that's a different grip, but the same outcome. Only thing on the second one, when this grip hand grips first, instead of this hand gripping first, he's got a secondary transfer, so I have more time to recover, potentially, okay? So on this one, when he grabs the hand and comes through, I'm starting to get sucked in this pit, so my first reaction is hand on. Hand comes through. My hand, lay back down for a second. I'll move up for a second. So everybody on that side can see, lift up there. He's like this, and my hand is here. I rip this opening out to butterfly this hook to this side of the pectoral. Come back up for me. Once that hand comes through, so now I have 2 reinforcements on this side. I'm gonna ask you, you're in a fight and you want to pass. I'm not running from you. I'm gonna keep coming. So once this head's here and this hand peels to this side, I'm gonna pass now. Because what's gonna happen is when this hand gets to this side, as I push this, I pull this, and I flare at the same time. So this is how he'll spin on you. Okay, so there are 3 things once you get there that matter. You should not make separation with your head and his pec. There's a reason for it. If there's gapping and he starts yanking, that's how he kazushis me, gets me off balance. Because I'm over here moving freely, and now I got this hand here and he's yanking, and now there's gapping for momentum. So I put my hand here and now we're touching. My head never stops touching. So even when I butterfly this hand onto this side of the rib, for people on that side, they can't see it, right? Even when I butterfly this hand onto this rib and I start pulling, my head has never released contact of that pectoral with my skull, ever. Okay, I can't let him get by. I'm pulling down until I win the fight of the hand positions. He has nothing at this point, right? Because the hand, he's got to make another transfer on this hand. You were on this guy. Yeah, right? This is the harder one. So you're like this. He's got a secondary transfer. So when you bury this guy down, I'm fighting for position either to pull this guy out and get him onto the pectoral, or if he's already trying to advance to my lat, I'm already making the transfer to this side. 3 things once this hand gets. So head never leaves the position on this. You're constantly making contact. Can't let him advance. Hands pulling down to slow down the movements. Next, I fight for position to get my hand on that side of the spinal cord line. This hand pulls, this hand pushes, this hand pulls, this leg flares. So 3 things are occurring. I'm like this. So as I'm pushing with this hand, I'm sliding this guy through, and I'm flaring that back leg to get rid of that hook. So you had 3 things. You had a lot of little tiny details. Try to capture them, don't go hard. And then what I'd love to do is, I think probably we'll run out of time, because if he counters me like that, I got to be able to counter him back in 2, and that's how the game becomes a real chess match. So we'll see if we get to the 3rd counter off of his counter again, because he just countered with the head position. Somebody asked me before about this. My brother-in-law asked me about this. Where do I grab? Right? The reason I'm telling you to grab onto this lat is because I don't want him to reset the head. So now you can start to see how the game mirrors itself on both sides. It doesn't lie to you. So if I'm like this or like this, he's going to slide the skull underneath and go, you better get out of here, man. You know, you got to bat it loud at that point. He's one head position. So I'm like this holding on. Like, I don't want this head reset on this side. So that's why I'm asking you to grip onto certain things. You could grip like here, but this is the thing you don't want to reset, and then you're going to grip over there. You know how much energy is like lost in that? So make sure you understand like what his counters are and what mine are, okay? Let's do it. Come like this. And now we're like this, right? And he counters. And I go, damn. So I shoot, lift up 1 second. This hand that's on this side, I shoot it long, and I wrap it through to drop this. And now we're like this, right? So I'll turn it around, right? A bunch of different ways. Let's turn it this way. So you're like this, and he counters. You're like this. You did everything exactly the same, like this, and he counters. So I take this hand. Obviously, I can't do anything with this hand, right? I can't advance it. So I take this hand, and I shoot it through and grab onto his wrist. So now I could drop this grip. And now we could play this a lot of different ways. We could play this grip, but I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to ask you, when you drop this grip, to grab onto the back of the skull. And let's lift him up again. And now let's dump him over. And now we're up on top again. So we just countered again. There's other ways to counter depending on how far they are, if they're running, if they pick up the leg. Like, got to be able to read everything. And you got to be able to react. So you're not going to fit a square peg into a round hole. That's the counter he gave me. We just went through it. He went heavy, so I said, oh, can't advance that hand. And now he's about to reset, no problem. So I shoot my hand over and I grab his wrist. Now I could drop this hand so you can't counter, and now I'm coming back again. We can play this a lot of different ways, right? We're just keeping it simple, right? You were like this. Let's turn it that way again, right? You're like this. He did everything exactly the same. You're like this. You turn and he counts, and I go, oh. So I shoot through, and I curl and false grip over this wrist. Now the counter on his hand could drop. We could play this a lot of different ways. I could grab it here, right, and throw him over, and maybe I don't want to. Maybe I feel like he's running away, and now he's backing up, and I'm going to end up with this arm like this. And I'm going, damn, this ain't that great. Like, he's like running from me. So that's why I'm saying that you could just grab onto his skull, because now as he's running away, I'm going, okay, I'm going to pick you up anyway, because I'm going to slide underneath you. And now we're going to do the same elevator. Boom, as he lands, I come up, and now I'm in a physical, I'm in a full mount. So he countered me, I countered him back, okay? And we'll play those counters off of like different angles during the week and the next week also. So let's do the last counter.